Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. I became one. I remember as a youngster, I watched Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. My father and I developed a love of flying in space together. We would go to museums, we would go to air shows. I was lucky enough to become a Navy pilot and then fly and command the space shuttle. For 16 years, we have been living in the relative comfort of low Earth orbit. What we need now is the challenge of living a little bit further away from home, living days away. What will it take to keep humans safe as we go into the unknown of the rest of the solar system?
Taking humans all the way to Mars and bringing them safely back to Earth will be very challenging. Mars is at least 100 times further away than the Moon. The opportunity to travel from Earth to Mars comes around about every 2 years. The Earth has to be catching up with Mars in its orbit to give you that shortest distance, and that's the ideal launch window. The first phase of going to Mars will occur at the International Space Station, where we'll learn about long-duration human spaceflight.
We're perfecting the things that will help astronauts get to Mars safely. And first and foremost is the things that keep astronauts alive, like clean air and clean water.
The next phase will be to establish an outpost near the Moon, where we can test the capabilities and limitations of the hardware so that we can get humans all the way to Mars and safely all the way back. Having a cislunar outpost enables international partnerships and commercial opportunities, such as exploration of the lunar surface and scientific and technological research. After cislunar space, we'll start the actual missions to Mars. The first mission will be to Mars orbit. This mission will teach us about the space systems that will take us to Mars and back. The next mission will send humans to the surface of Mars. The crews will undertake detailed scientific research and investigation. They will start to unlock the secrets of Mars. The race to the Moon captured the world's attention. Building the International Space Station united 15 nations. The journey to Mars will inspire all of humankind as we push deeper into space than we ever have before.
Who are our next space explorers? Chances are they're around us today. I'm sure there's a young man or woman somewhere in a classroom today dreaming of going to Mars.
This is Richard Kusiolek with GMCstream. I'm very, very lucky today to be here with Boeing. I wanted to introduce a gentleman by the name of Peter McGrath. He's Director of Global Sales and Marketing, Space Exploration at Boeing. And so, Pete, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your responsibility at Boeing?
Sure. Yeah, I actually hit 30 years with Boeing next month, and I've done a wide range of things from structural analysis on space station for a lot of the elements that are flying up there today, to rockets like Delta IV, satellite programs for the Air Force, Army programs, and now I'm back doing sales and marketing for all the human spaceflight portfolio for NASA.
Okay. Well, you know, we know that Boeing, the CST-100 Starliner, will launch atop a ULA United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket from Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. What are the dates for the two demonstration flights required to prove that Boeing Space Systems can achieve NASA's requirements for carrying astronauts to and from the International Space Station?
So our plan today is to fly the first uncrewed test flight in August, and that one will have basically the same exact flight vehicle that we're going to fly our crewed flight test on. And our crewed flight test flight is currently planned for November of this year.
Okay, excellent. You know, I know a little bit about astronauts. I had the pleasure of interviewing two of them. And have they already been selected for the CST-100 crew?
They have. Our first crewed test flight will have two astronauts from NASA, Man and Fink, and And then we also have a Boeing astronaut, Chris Ferguson, who's going to fly with him as well.
Ferguson's new, isn't he?
Well, Chris Ferguson actually was the last commander for STS-135, the last shuttle flight.
Okay.
And he actually, there's a story that he actually put a flag up on station when he left.
Okay.
And so the goal is to go up there and capture that flag when the next crew goes up on the U.S. launch.
Wow, that's really exciting. Outstanding. If there's somebody out there who has an aspiration to be an astronaut, for example, what would be the first top 3 requirements?
Well, I mean, of course, the first thing as an astronaut, you need to pass a basic physical.
Okay.
The concern is if you're going to fly up either as a fifth passenger on a NASA flight or go up as a group of passengers, maybe on a commercial service, we want to make sure that when you get up there, you can operate through the duration of that mission. Otherwise, you force the mission to come home early, and that's something we want to try to avoid. So the number one would be physical health.
Okay.
The other thing we look for is really, if there's an opportunity to actually have you perform science or do some PR activities while you're up there, so that it actually shows the value of doing experiments and being on station. So something that really provides some PR benefit.
Okay, so they have to have a little bit of a scientific background, or at least an interest.
Maybe not so much a scientific, because we've done things in the past where teachers go up and there's an opportunity to educate too.
Okay.
So there's a lot of benefits you can get, but it's really about finding ways to use the microgravity experience, I think, to benefit society or provide some benefit back to Earth.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Pete, very much. NASA and Boeing are nearing the final stages of development and evaluation for new systems that will return to support human spaceflight launches from the American soil on these missions to the ISS as part of the agency's commercial crew program. What demonstration dates are scheduled that will lead to regular flights to the ISS space station using the Starliner?
Well, once we do the uncrewed test flight, we also have a pad abort that we're going to perform, where we're going to actually validate the ability to abort the vehicle off the launch vehicle if there's a case of an anomaly.
Sure.
And then we do the crewed test flight. And once we do the crewed test flight, we're ready to actually go into operational missions.
Okay.
And so our plan right now is, because we're flying, we have a philosophy we call the test what we're going to fly. So since our first uncrewed test flight is truly a flight article, it gives a lot of risk reduction, so we can reduce the time between the uncrewed test flight and the crewed test flight.
Right.
And it allows us to really accelerate into that first operational mission. And we're actually going to refurbish that uncrewed test flight vehicle and turn around and use it for that first operational mission.
You've got something coming up in April that's really important.
We have a hot fire coming up.
Okay, let's talk about that. That's
okay. Yeah, so the hot fire, so we have to go do a test of our service module propulsion system. We call it a hot fire test. We're going to do that out at White Sands Test Facility. And this is where we're going to go through the full phase of abort test as well as operational missions of all the thrusters.
Okay, excellent. Well, we're talking a little bit international here. We know about China, we know Russia, India, and the EU have space agencies. And they all have announced they're all going to be landing on the moon, then onto Mars. So it's now kind of a competitive field. So how does that affect the Boeing space program if it affects it?
I would say it's opening up a lot of opportunities.
Okay.
Because as we talk about commercialization of low Earth orbit and finding other users for space, these new countries that are interested in playing that are outside the traditional 15 that play in the International Space Station, it really gives you more opportunities to fly people up there and broaden that market space and maybe reduce the cost for NASA operators.
Right.
In terms of a race, it does create somewhat of a race in terms of maybe wanting to get to the moon and establish a presence there. But I really think there's an opportunity to do it more as a global endeavor instead of really a competitive caution. And doing that helps, because I don't think one nation can afford to do it. There's a lot of capabilities that other nations can provide to actually accelerate that.
I see you have a lot of knowledge in this area, and I really appreciate the interview. Well, let's talk a little bit. We'll kind of move along here. Let's talk about robotic missions, and to the moon and Mars. As we know, the United States already went to the moon, and so the question people say, why go back to the moon? Why instead of colonies? Can you just give us a quick insight into that? Your perspective.
If you say we've been to the moon before, haven't spent a lot of time on the moon.
Right.
And where we went on the moon was really around the equator of the moon, which is not where the scientific is. What you really want to do is get to the poles, primarily the South Pole. Because what we found is there's water there. And if you want to sustain a presence on the moon, you need to figure out how to leverage the resource on the moon, so you can need water. And if I can mine water, I can get the oxygen.
Right.
And so I have with power and water, I can do a lot of things. And so it's a great precursor to if we're ever going to go beyond the moon,
right,
to experiment closer to us on the moon,
right,
how we can do those things. So that when we go to Mars or somewhere, we know how to mine water and actually extract it for water and air.
Okay, excellent. There's an effort, to use helicopters on Mars. I just want to ask that question. Does that make any sense to me, using a helicopter to go to Mars? And what's your perspective?
Well, so what I'll say is, traditionally we talk about, a mission to the surface.
Sure.
We talk about putting people down and then maybe having rovers that really extend the footprint for a period of time. We talk about augmenting that maybe with robotics on the surface that can maybe push us a little further out to explore things. That'll allow us to maybe target where the humans go. There's enough atmosphere on the Mars surface that whether it's helicopters or aero vehicles,
right,
it could give you that opportunity to maybe expand what you're looking at, so that when you want to either push a mission out or push the next landing site, it might give you more information to really help you make that decision.
I really appreciate that answer, because it really gives a very good understanding. So we're looking ahead, to major Mars missions. So we have the EchoMars, which is the European Space Agency is going to be doing that. So the question that I have is, will NASA and Boeing ever cooperate with the Russians on current and future space programs?
Well, we currently are cooperating.
Okay, good.
Today we cooperate on the International Space Station.
Okay.
And we're actually in partnership with the Russians and NASA right now, sending a crew off to station for NASA on Soyuz vehicles. So there's a long-standing partnership that we do have with Russia. I think if there's a path forward for going back to the moon, I think the Russians will be involved. And space has always been that great opportunity to keep the relationships going despite issues that may arise throughout the business. And it's been a good baton for when we need to have engagements with them.
Sure, I appreciate that. Well, this is really the end of the interview. In the sense, I have to ask you a question. Do you have any other comments that you'd like to maybe share with our subscribers at this point?
Well, it's a really exciting time right now. I mean, when you hear the president talk about getting back to Moon 24, it's really energized the industry. And, we've been talking a lot about how Boeing's positioned to help do that.
Sure.
And we have a lot of history when you look at what we've been doing in space station. We've got 20 years of operational experience of humans living and operating in space that we can bring forward as we look at what we're going to do around the moon. So we're really looking at how we leverage that and how we leverage the capabilities that SLS provides to actually allow us to get large things out to the moon so that we can create a sustainable opportunity out to go visit the moon, but not just put a flag down, but really to have a regular presence.
Well,
so really excited.
I'm excited too. I'm excited having, to be able to talk to somebody with your knowledge of space and also be, part of this Boeing interview. I want to thank you very